Welcome to the White Lotus channel. Deck review. Izzet Snow Control. Found the deck on mtgdecks.net. Deck was piloted by Malfie for the win in the monthly tournament number 28 Pauper Magic Discord with a field of 85 players. What's the deck strategy? It's a control deck. Therefore, the pilot's seeking to control the early game with interactive spells, get ahead on card advantage or card selection, resolve a larger threat, and protect it with counter spells in the latter stages of the game. This is shaped like a typical control deck, insofar that the creature count, even though it says 6, is actually 9 with Serpentine Curve. Most of your traditional control decks have very few creatures in it. You'll also note that in the early stages, we have color intensity. We'll get to that more in a minute on deck construction. But when you see the pile view layout, when you see that heavy color intensity on a lot of your Serpentine Curve decks, usually it's like mono blue, and they're just trying to turbo out a Serpentine Curve or Terror. But we need blue and red very, very early. But we'll get to that more in a second. Let's look at the game plan. Ponder and preordain on your early turns to smooth out the mana and select cards that you need. Interact frequently with the opponent to put instants and sorceries in the graveyard. Again, you will not be turboing out Terror. These are gradually adding instants and sorceries to the graveyard through interaction with the opponent. Turn 5, resolve Terror or Crimson Fleet Commodore with counter magic backup. Alternatively, you can resolve a Serpentine Curve later to either get in for damage or deal direct damage with the 1 copy of Fling. So you've got 35 other spells that are, well, we'll call it 32 because we'll count Serpentine Curve as a creature, although it is an instant and counts to other Serpentine Curves. So you've got 32 plus 9 creatures, 19 lands. The mana base for me is a big issue. I played a number of matches with it, and due to Ash Barrens, which is great at fixing the colors, right, which you need blue, you need double blue by 2, but you need early turns blue and red. Ash Barrens attempts to fix it, but with 19 lands, 4 Ash Barrens is 21% of the mana base, right? 2 tapped Maestro's Theater, 4 tapped Volatile Fjord. Really want untapped blue to Ponder Preordain to try to smooth out the mana base. But the Ash Barrens is a problem for me in the deck. It's great at fixing colors. But when you have an opening hand of, say, Volatile Fjord and an Ash Barrens, I'm going tap Volatile Fjord on 1. And if I don't draw another land, I've got a decision to make, right? I'm either Ponder Preordain to try to find another colored land. If I miss, I'm in a world of hurt because now I just have Ash Barrens. It's a lot of tension in the mana base. I'm not sure exactly how to get around it. Potentially, if we look at the mana base, you've got 4 for red. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You've got 12 ways to find red, and you need it. So I was thinking about Lorien in the deck to go ahead and fetch islands, but it's not fixing the red. There's a lot of tension in the mana base, in my opinion. Every match I played, there was struggle. Like on turn 2, on the opponent's turn, perhaps I want to go Frantic Inventory. I've got 2 lands in play, but I've got a Ash Barrens here, and I'm potentially having to cycle Ash Barrens when I could be digging with Frantic Inventory. A lot of tension in the mana base, don't know how to fix it. Haven't spent that much time on it, not sure if I really would. So, deck-wise, Scred for targeted spells. Lightning Bolt, as beautiful as it is, great utility spell. So Miser's copy of Chain Lightning, that potentially can be replaced with maybe a 3rd Ponder. I think that's probably better. And any critical evaluation I have of the deck is nothing at all to the pilot. He went 5-0 and won it. It's just things that I would do. I would probably cut the Chain Lightning for the 3rd Ponder, Lorien potentially, but it doesn't solve the red issue and is very color intense. The mana base, I feel, is a little light. Why do I say that? So you, even though you've got these spells here in the early turns, the top end of the curve is deceptive. Odds are you're not playing Crimson Fleet Commodore on turn 4. I need counter magic to protect it. I got to defend the Monarch at all costs. So usually this is turn 5 or 6. You can go 5 with Dispel backup, turn 6 with Counterspell backup. Tolarian Terror is not coming out on turn 3 or 4. More than likely, you don't have enough instants and sorceries in there. If you do, you're just throwing Terror out there, and it's, it can't really protect itself from an edict effect or anything else like that. The great thing about Terror is getting it down early and the amount of mana required by the opponent to try to deal with that threat. But you don't have that in this situation. Tolarian Terror is coming out much, much later. They do have 4 mana, usually by the time it comes out. So when Terror is coming out, you need to counterspell or counter magic backup. Serpentine Curve is not what you're playing amongst the 9 creatures that comes later in the game. So it's a little deceptive on the top end. Like we've got it at 4s and 7s, but it could be really 5, 6s. And yeah, we can still keep this as a 7 and 8. But typical control deck constructed archetype all the way. Sideboard, 1 copy of Annul that could go up, doing double duty on artifact or enchantment spells. The anti-red Hydroblast, absolutely. Little trick, you can split this to a Hydroblast to Blue Elemental Blast. You could do that. Why? Because if they see a copy of Hydroblast and a copy of Blue Elemental Blast, they might think you're running 8, right? But you're only running 4. 2 copies of Pyroblast for anti-terror decks, anti-fairies, Casting the Fire for anti-fairies, Aura Flux, anti-Bogles. There's no way to make Bogles sacrifice. I think in theory, I've not played it against Bogles, but it's probably not such a great matchup. You might be curious on Relic of Progenitus. When you exile it, it exiles all graveyards. The thing about the ability to play Relic in this deck with Serpentine Curve is Serpentine Curve counts all cards, 1 plus the total number of instant and sorcery cards in exile and your graveyard. So if somebody relics you, it's not counting against Serpentine Curve. I'm going to go ahead and play the match. We'll see how it does. Game 1, unknown opponent. Opening hand, 1 lander. Again, I think it's a light land count at 19. Probably 21 is where I'd want to be. What to cut, not sure. Not a bad mulligan here. We've got red and blue. Preordain and Ponder to dig. Tolarian Terror is going to be a while. Against black. Fiery Carrion, depending on what version of black he's running, it should come into play and get some work in. With the island off the top, I went ahead and played the tap land here. In the event we hit counterspell or other things that we need. So I was fine playing tapped on turn 1. Fling we don't need. I'm just digging for answers right now. I need a spot removal more than likely for Gataxian Infiltrator, which we can now do. I like drawing the lands, to be honest with you. I need a lot. The deck is mana intensive. It needs a lot of mana because of the counter backup that's necessary with Terror and your other threats, because you don't have many. You only have 9. I'm hoping, really hoping, I've got Terror. I mean, I can't sit here forever, right? So I've got Terror in play. And as you can see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 instants and sorceries in the graveyard on turn 7. A typical UB Terror would have double-digit instant and sorcery spells by this turn. But that's one of the things about playing the control deck. It's gradually filling it. I would much prefer to have Counterspell in hand over Dispel, but we're going to go ahead and give it a shot. Again, UB Terror would be double Terror on this turn. I think it's one of the drawbacks of this particular style deck. It's trying to play control gradually, which it can do on occasion. But it's really hard to play control in this matchup because so many of your opponent's decks have as much or equal to your own card advantage that you have in your deck. So it's one of the things about it that makes me think it's a maybe not as good a version as others, but that's just my opinion. It's not an insult. Get some coffee. And I go ahead and chain lightning here just to put more things in there for Tolarian Terror. Kind of wish I had it back, but we can get out of this, right? We've got to get rid of Necromass, which we can do on a Cannonade and a Lightning Bolt. That's card disadvantage for me. Requires 2 cards to deal with one of theirs. I would much rather sweep the board, but we have to get rid of it and get the damage in. Going on to game 2. Game 2 with the opponent. You can see a bit of a dilemma in his mana base, right? We have no Ponder or Preordain, so we're going to go turn 1, Snow-Covered Island. We're going to go ahead and ditch Ash Barrens. It kind of works out a little bit, but there is tension in this mana base. Ripping the Ponder helps. We're just digging to smooth out the mana base right now. I mean, typically in most of these type decks, you're fetching the second island, but we need red and red a lot. Missed the land. Much prefer to cast Frantic Inventory on the opponent's step, but didn't want to miss a land drop. But we are filling up the graveyard, hoping to like double terror, right? Hence the bolt on that particular creature. So I'm thinking, all right, if he's on Chainer's Edict, you know, I mean, we might lose 1 terror, but Chainer's Edict sorcery, Dispel doesn't work there. But he's got Diabolic Edict, so. And this is the reason why you really want to get your terrors out with backup. But we're on 3 lands, and I don't want to wait forever. Not getting any help, that's for sure. Frantic Inventory. Frantic indeed, because I'm looking for lands. Ash Baron Cycle. Deep Analysis. We have so many snowlands right now that Skred was going to deal with the 1. That's a little disturbing. Really need to rip a Fiery Cannonade. I feel like I'm going to lose Terror here too, which we did. But it was the creature that he brought into play that made me sack it, so. Can't find Counterspell to save my life. We're 29 cards deep. Just got it. Yeah, we'll trade. Right now, it's just get the Monarch. Best way to win is get Serpentine Curve in line. He's down to 2 cards, and then hopefully we can just power through with that. Super fine with this board with Smash to Dust in hand. It's much harder to defend the Monarch than what it might look in the matches that I've played. And the opponent concedes off a Diabolic Edict, which is his last hope. Wouldn't have mattered. We got it. Really want to say I enjoyed playing the opponent. I don't know how to pronounce his name. He's from Japan. Didn't know English, but he kept translating back and forth, so there were some pauses there. Super nice guy. Really enjoyed playing against him. But there's in my opinion, there's tension in the mana base. I'm not sure in the current Pauper format. Again, this is my opinion. That's all that it is. You can feel free to put in the comment section why it's inaccurate. There is so much card advantage in the decks that are in the meta that is very difficult There's two reasons. Very difficult for Control to implement its game plan, which is typically letting aggro decks or other decks run out of cards or creatures. Now you're ahead in the game due to card advantage. You can stick a threat and move forward. And the second is an absence of, a board wipe. It worked well here, but there's a lot of times with 3 toughness that these board sweeps aren't doing much to you. It's great against fairies, but against the core Skyfisher, Dawnbringer clerics of the world, sacred cats that you're bringing back from the graveyard, there's a lot of things that just don't go very well. So super hard to play Control. Hats off to Malfie, who piloted it to a win in this format. In my matches, in my experience, has been difficult, but hope you enjoyed it. Maybe you can tinker with it, try to smooth the mana base out some. Maybe Lorien comes in and can get some stuff in. I don't think so, really. Mainly just because you need red so early and often. Anyway, thanks for being here. Hit the like button, subscribe. If you have an idea for a different deck or something that you want to see, a deck update, deck review, just post it in the comment section. I'll give it a look. Thanks so much. Stay safe. Be well.